You straight up cuckooed that dude, bro. Oh my God.
You've got all your Charger gear on because
Feeling fresh as hell.
Well, you guys better enjoy it. The fans loved it.
You have to love what you're seeing on tape if you're a Chargers fan, especially for the future with Justin Herbert.
On the move and throws and touchdown.
Do this together.
Players, coaches, staff, fans, together we can create something truly special.
Stay tuned for some good content.
Well, hello there. Welcome back to the Charger Chat. I'm your co-host, Wall Dog, sitting with my buddies, Kev, Hug, and Duggan.
Hey, friends.
Let's not forget Kyle, the coach, Duggan.
I like your voice, Adam.
I'm so excited to be here. 2 in a row with Kevin back. It's
Utah.
good to have him back.
Give me
two. All right, folks. Well, plenty to talk about this episode. Lots going on at OTA, minicamp, people getting their pictures taken with dogs.
Oh, shocking. Breaking news.
There's that whole lawsuit, whatever business. We'll dip our toe into that nonsense. And as always, we've got a Craig experience and a bold history lined up for you. But let's start it at the top. Media Day, folks. It's gorgeous when you see the footage of these guys. They're all geared up. They've got the lights going. There was that one guy who was like holding like that bar light up on Joey Bosa, like when he was getting his picture taken. They got wind blowing, hairs flow everywhere.
Sparks are flying. Like. There's shit everywhere. It's literally, I was a little scared for them. They have these giant fans behind the players.
Yes.
And those look pretty dangerous. And, you know, I want to get to the season healthy. Come on, guys. We've got to be able to
there's like a final destination event that's about to happen?
Have you ever seen Alien 3? The guy gets sucked into the vent and explodes. I don't need that for my Charger players.
It's scientifically proven. If it can happen in Alien 3,
it can happen in real life.
And I think it's safe to say we're 1-0 against the Broncos on Media Day. We didn't have any.
Oh, easily.
Let's ride.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Did you see the Khalil Mack one when he was like, let's fucking go.
Let's fucking go. Can I say that? Is that all right?
Yeah,
sure. Is that
cool? Yeah, you're way cooler.
Hey, dude.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you no. You're terrifying. Do whatever you want, dude.
Yeah, it's all you.
Yeah, it was awesome to see. Everybody's just, it's just such a gorgeous set. And I mean, yeah, I think if they were like jumping through the fan, like plowing through with explosions and doves flying in the background, I would be a little concerned, but
it's going to be bad. John Woo would be directing it, and that would be even cooler. It'd be like Mission Impossible too. But I dig it. This is like right up my alley. Yeah. I'm looking at these sets. I know exactly all the gear they're using and all the stuff. Like they have professionals doing this. Mm-hmm. I'm seeing all the other teams around the league doing stuff, and it's like, bro.
Somebody family members take pictures or what?
Exactly.
They're done with senior pictures, right? Bring them over to the headquarters.
You know, drop them in, and then like Denzel Perriman. Woo! Did you see that one? He was doing his like
not as scary. Yeah, not scary.
It was like who was that one politician? It's going to age me, but back in the day, it was like, we're going to do this. We're going to do this.
That's right. I remember that. Yeah.
I don't remember who that is. Yeah. It was like the weird yell, like, yeah. All right. Like, I guess
Denzel pulled one of those.
Exciting.
So cool. But they look these jerseys, I just want to go to this. These jerseys look so cool. Everything about them. Derwin James looks so awesome in the number 3. Yes. I'm a little annoyed because I have Derwin stuff with 33 on it, but
no, you're
I'm
not.
Okay
you're
with
excited. That's a good excuse to buy more stuff. You're pumped. Don't act like you're not excited.
If my wife listens to this, she needs to know I'm kind of bummed when in reality I'm absolutely not bummed. Okay?
Yeah.
Boy,
now you get a different color Derwin jersey.
Yeah, exactly.
I would hate it if somebody got me a number 3 jersey for Christmas.
That would.
That Father's Day.
That might break the bank, but you know, sometimes we got to break the bank.
And then seeing the new guys too, right? Seeing Khalil Mack in the full Charger get
Khalil Mack,
Zion Johnson,
Kyle Van Noy,
Kyle Van Noy,
yeah,
so sweet,
it's just
awesome. And I know it's silly, but seeing them with the puppies.
Pretty cute.
They're pretty damn awesome. I always love seeing it with the puppies.
I love Chris Rumph last year was like, the puppies! And he came in and gave us a part 2 of that. It was pretty rad.
Alex Spiller, he had like the 2 puppies like over his shoulder, like on his back kind of thing. It was just, it's awesome. And it's obviously for a good cause. I'm trying to get those bad boys adopted.
Yeah.
Well, let's look at outside of picture day. There was a bit of news that kind of dropped when there was some interviews going on. Daniel Popper tweeted out, Derwin James has not competed in any full-speed team drills this spring because he had labrum surgery after the 2021 season, Brandon Staley said.
How do they get away with us not knowing about this? Like that, I did not. Did you guys know anything about this?
No clue.
No idea.
What the fuck's going on?
Now, I'm not a expert in anatomy. What is labrum? What is that?
It's in your shoulder.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So when you do like that, it doesn't feel good. You usually get it from, tackling, from being Derwin James and lighting people up. And that's probably why I didn't play that one Texans game when we lost to the Texans. But he's a tough guy. He played he did it week 3. So get healthy, dude. Come on. And they're talking, it's contract time. They're talking about it. They just, Mika Fitzpatrick just signed a monster deal.
Yeah.
And we all know Derwin James is better than Mika Fitzpatrick. So,
well, I think that's an interesting topic of conversation too. Like, obviously we think Derwin James is worth more money based off of his production, but if he continues to have injuries or surgeries, like, does that lower his dollar value?
Like a labrum discount? Double check kind of thing.
Well, labrum and whatever I can't even remember what the other injuries were that ended his
the plate in his
seasons.
foot.
The foot injuries. So, I mean, like, does the lack of play equal a lower dollar amount?
I mean, you could see that as a reason as to why he hasn't already gotten his extension. Maybe they're all like, hey, you just had surgery, dude. Let's see how this thing heals up.
Right.
If you're looking good in training camp, mini camp, going into the season, okay, let's get it done. And I think we have heard rumblings now that the negotiations have started. So
yes.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was a thing. Like, hey, we want to make sure that you're ready to rock before we toss you $1 gajillion.
Exactly.
And he's going to be the highest paid safety once he signs his contract.
100%.
Yeah, I think they're looking to get that taken care of before the season starts. So that would be at least something to look forward to prior to the season. Tyler Dragon also tweeted out, Derwin James was limited at minicamp today because he had surgery on his left labrum in February. He's expected to be a full participant during training camp. He injured his shoulder last season. So we'll expect to see him in minicamp.
It also goes to show that he's not sitting out. Like last season, he played the whole season, played all the way up to the last snap of the season.
Yeah.
He just played through the injury. And sometimes that's what I don't know. I feel like we don't know everything going on. We didn't even know the guy got surgery. No one did, So
do you think this throws like some of the schemes they were running with him last year where he was like 20 yards off the ball? Do you think that might have anything to do with a shoulder injury and not putting him in the box all the time because they don't want to mess him up even more?
But he was doing that at the beginning of the season. As soon as Chris Harris went down, he was bumped back pretty permanently. So I think if he had gotten hurt that early, he probably would have had something done. I think he probably got knocked up last couple of weeks and just like, hey, nothing we can do. Let's suck it up, get to the end of the season. But he's playing through the hurts, which is what you want to see from your stud. And that was one of the concerns that a lot of fans had. It's like, dude, you're always banged up. Just suck it up and get out there. Go play football. We paid a lot of money to play and you're just sitting out all the time. So I think if anything, that's like, oh, it's crazy. The guy was playing through hurt. He wanted to make the playoffs. He played that Raider game. And he did sit out a couple there in the middle of the season. He had to tap himself out of the Kansas City game. But I think if anything, we know he's playing through injury. If it was enough to have surgery, the guy's tough and he's trying to lay everything out there for the team.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Hopefully we get that deal done here pretty quickly because I think getting it done the sooner the better for the Chargers. And obviously for him, like now that this Minka Fitzpatrick deal is out, is going to adjust his market and going to adjust some of the conversations. So we're looking over at minicamp. Some of the guys were interviewed, and that includes Justin Herbert, who had this quote: I feel like I just get bored sometimes without football. I hate hanging around my house and not doing anything or accomplishing anything. That's a motivational poster if I've ever seen one, right?
Yeah. The guy's just built, he's a machine. It's like when you build a robot to do a specific task and they don't have that task, they just break down and fizzle out. That's like Justin Herbert. If he was built to play football, if he can't play football, he doesn't know what to do and loses his mind.
What do I do with my hands?
Well, it's that thing. It's like if you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life. He loves football. There's a lot of guys that are playing in the National Football League that don't love football. They love the money that comes with football.
Right.
This kind of stuff is that, he doesn't work a day in his life because he likes to compete and he loves football. And that's
he
the
gets
guy
bored
you want.
easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. He needs football. That was the other quote. He was like, I need football. Like I gotta have it. So
I could just see him and Gabe sitting together at the house. Like, I know they don't live together anymore, but just go with me. They're just sitting there watching TV. They look at each other like, all right. And they just get up and go start throwing routes or go to the gym or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like the guy's just, he doesn't have anything to do. As a college football player, every second of every day is planned out, like class and then lifting and then film and then football and then bed and then repeat.
Mm-hmm.
Now these guys as pros, they're just like, oh, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm tired of golf. Don't want to go anymore. Let's just go to the facility and figure something out. See who's there.
If he's going to have a hobby, golf is much better than massage parlors. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh,
golf's awesome.
Hobby.
Hobby.
Massage parlor is a hobby.
Wow.
Yes.
All right. Well, let's look at some quotes here from some people. Brandon Staley on the start of veteran minicamp. I think that we've had an outstanding offseason program. I'm really appreciative of our attendance. It's been perfect attendance. To have the full group here today and to be able to finish our offseason the right way is important. I like the vibe out there. I like the focus, the detail. I think we're controlling the things that are within our control right now.
Listening to that quote, can we all just have a moment of appreciation for Derwin James not holding out? This is the time of season where some guys, they're just not showing up to stuff because they want their contract done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I just want to, you don't normally recognize the guys that aren't doing it. You only focus on the guys that are sitting out. So just a little appreciation for Derwin for just like, hey, the contract's not done. I don't care. I want to be with the team. I want to get better. I want a Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And he's still out there grinding. So I don't know. That's just, perfect attendance is a fun stat to have. It's like, we don't go to prison and we show up to mini camp. That's what Charger football does.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
I was going to say, like, how many teams have perfect attendance during veteran minicamp? Like,
not many.
I mean, there's always...
most teams have at least a holdout somewhere.
Right. I was going to say there's always like somebody holding out for a contract to get done or something like that. But no, I mean, we got perfect attendance and you love to see it. On the outside linebacker, Joey Bosa spending an extended period of time with the team during OTAs. Brandon Staley said, I think it's important that he's joining up with some new guys, both with Khalil Mack, Kyle, and then with the guys inside, Austin Johnson, Sebastian, Otito, and then Foxy. I
like that.
He has a bunch of new players that he's rushing with and playing the running with. We really wanted to make sure that chemistry started to express itself in the springtime. It just says a lot about Joey that he's here and that it means a lot to him. We're a much better team having him here. That's for sure.
Yeah. It's the first time. I think it was the first time that he's ever done non-mandatory stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, we talked about it before. Like with him showing up, like it's built like in the same way that Staley just said, that it's building that relationship, building that camaraderie with the teams. I mean, he's a team captain, so got to go out there and be team captaining from time to time, and that includes in the non-mandatory moments.
Right. He talked about it in the interview. He's like, hey, I live in Florida, and this may be something that we're getting to. He's like, I live in Florida or across the country, and I just like a lot to disrupt my whole routine, go out there for a couple of days and then come back. But it says something that he said his coach, our D-line coach, was kind of getting after him, like, dude, come on, you got to be here. You got to be here. Please come out here. Get out of here. Come on.
Come on, bro.
Get out of here.
Bruh.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. Giff was giving him something.
Well, yeah, let's go right to it. Joey Bosa, I'm playing alongside of Khalil Mack. It's amazing just to have another guy like that to lean on, to look at. I was just talking to, I can't remember who today about it. Just getting to know him. He's a really nice guy. I was talking to Giff about how he reminds me of Bane a little bit, his temperament. He's a chill dude. He's great to talk to. But along with that, he's obviously an unbelievable player. So having a guy like that on the other side is going to be really fun.
Understatement. That's going to be rad.
Well, I'm even more excited to watch, Joey.
Yeah, we all are.
Sign me up.
And then on the physical aspects of his game that he has picked up from Mack, we really rush completely different. Obviously, we have similarities in some aspects, but we rush pretty differently. So there are a lot of different ideas that we could bounce off of each other. We were just talking about it today, how we'll definitely have some film sessions where we'll break down each other's old film and kind of see if we could pick up anything and learn stuff. Along with that, having a guide like that to compete with every day. I always want to be the best rusher out there and perform the best in the group. So to have that competition every single day, I think that's going to drive me to be a lot better this year.
Yeah, it goes back to like Pop One. Even today, I was at jujitsu with my son. He does jujitsu, and
nice.
Even in that, at that age, they're 5 to 7 years old. Like they want to be the fastest one down, like doing drills. Like they're doing bear crawl. I'm going to be the fastest, and then they get to be the front of the line. And that still applies to 30-year-old men playing football. Like I'm going to be the best in the group. But now there's another alpha, so I got to play even better every day. Right. So it's cool to see how I wonder, and I don't know, like I know some football, but I don't know specific techniques about the pass rush. Crazy to hear. These guys are both elite top 5 pass rushers in the NFL. And he would go so far as to say that they're like completely different pass rushers. Pretty, I don't know. It's just like, what are you talking about? You're both overwhelmingly strong. You can overpower guys. You guys are both quick. Like you have similar, there's how many moves are there in the rush game. And I think it just speaks to how complex that position is, that we as the Joe Schmo watching a football game, like, oh, wow, he got to the quarterback fast. Good job. You don't under like all the little details that he would say they're completely different rushers.
We are going to bring back a very awesome segment we haven't done in a while. Maybe that could be a topic for a Coach's Corner.
Yeah, I would love to learn a little bit. So yeah, maybe I could tap into that.
There you go. I'd love to see it. And then they talked to Khalil Mack, and he had this to say on playing with Joey Bosa. Oh, man, it's been dope, man. Just picking his brain and getting to talk a lot of football. You can tell he has a real love for the game, and it's going to be fun playing with him for sure. I mean, the thing I love about Khalil is that, like, he doesn't have a huge personality. He's a very quiet guy, like very soft-spoken, and really just lets his actions speak for his words. So to see him get excited about playing with Joey Bosa. I mean, when you talk about Joey getting, wanting to be better, when you were talking about comparing him to your kid, how many teams out there that have the type of like 2 players that could be playing at the same time at the highest caliber, like Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack? Like, do you think that if it was just Joey Bosa, he might be like, well, clearly I'm the best for this team, so I don't really need to put in that much effort for practice or something like that. But now he's like, Khalil's here.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what he said in his comment. Like he talked about how I want to be the best at every day out there in practice, and now that Khalil's here, I'm going to have to get better. That's pretty much what he said. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's only going to be good for Joey.
I think with these guys, like you can't turn off this competitiveness. These guys, it's so a part of who they are and what they're all about. Yeah, they're gonna make each other more competitive, which is good for not only them. It's good for our right and left tackle. It's good for everyone that has to deal with them being competitive with each other, which is going to force everyone, to rise. So this is good. It's what coaches always say. It's like you got to get in there and create the idea of like competition every single day. And then that's just going to, be infectious.
Love it. And then the last little quote here from Khalil Mack on what he's learned about Bosa. He's very smart. He's a smart rusher. He thinks about a lot of things. Sometimes he probably gets too far in his head because he knows so much. He has so much knowledge about the game. It's going to be fun to kind of break down film together, watch each other, and figure this thing out together.
Yeah, he's basically like, maybe you just need to like turn it off a little bit, Joey, and just go with your instincts and not be stressing about it so much.
Yeah.
Do you think he's stressing about it, though? I mean, he's been in the league as long as he has. He's, proven his talent. Do you think he gets stressed about that kind of stuff?
He's the number one. We've relied on him to be our best rusher since he became a Charger. Like he never had anybody across from him like that. I'm sure he put extra pressure on himself too, especially after he got that big contract. That's what he said. I take this very seriously. This isn't just something I do. This is something I want to be the best at. And like show all the Charger fans how important I take this, how much it means to me. So I think
I think it could, having that other guy over there, he just takes some pressure off of himself, right? Even more so of less double teams. It may be more of a factor of he doesn't have to put it all on his shoulders and try to overthink what he's doing, right? He's like, I don't have to be the only one that gets to the quarterback. I know there's another guy over there that's just as equipped to do it.
Just as capable, yeah.
Yeah, and there was always a coaching term that we had for our kids that we tried to keep them from paralysis by analysis, where you just overthink and you can't go play. Because these guys, at the end of the day, they've been playing football for 20 plus years, 30, some of them 30 years. Like, just go play football. Like, you know how to do it. Stop overthinking it and go play. And that's when you play the best. That's when you play instinctual. That's when big time plays start to happen.
Awesome.
Paralysis by analysis.
None of that going on. All right. Well, let's get a little dramatic, shall we? In the courtroom. Dean Spanos, son of a gun, is back in the headlines with his sister Dee, who
the end is silent.
The end is silent.
When you hear D, can you think of anything but It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
Yeah,
all I think of is D.
Sweet
from
D.
It's Always Sunny.
This is not sweet D. This is
no sour D.
Sour and bitter. Let's see. So Adam Schefter tweeted out, Chargers owner Dean Spanos is being sued by his sister Dee Spanos Barbarian for alleged misogynistic behavior and repeated breaches of fiduciary duty. Lawsuit was filed today in California and calls for Dean Spanos to be removed as a co-trustee. Dee Spanos Barbarian claims in her lawsuit that her brothers Dean and Michael Spanos believe to their cores that regardless of what their parents intended and their wills specified, men are in charge and women should shut up. Yee.
So here's my thought. I know we have some more quotes from the other side of the aisle on this. It's just interesting because her first lawsuit didn't go through. So now she's got a new approach at this. I guess the first time we talked about this months ago, and whatever she brought to court, wasn't accepted, and they didn't take that case. Now she's doing it again, and now she's trying to spice it up a little bit. It's kind of obvious what she's doing, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, we don't know everything that's going on as far as behind closed doors, but
A plus B generally equals
but
C.
I see what you're saying. Like, it does feel like taking the climate of the world right now, as far as like what can get you flagged and what can kind of get slid under the rug.
Yeah.
When you throw out misogynistic, that's definitely like wait a minute now, what is this? Like, obviously both men and women should be treated equally. And so to make that kind of a quote, that's a pretty strong quote.
Better have some way to back that up if you're going to say that.
Exactly. So whatever it is, obviously there's got to be, you would think that there would be some kind of proof. We'll let the courts decide if that is the case. But there was also a statement from Alexis Spanos Rule, who said, the statements made in today's court filing about my brother Dean Spanos are outrageously untrue. Throughout this entire ordeal that was instigated without justification by my sister Dee Barbarian, my brother Dean has been unfailingly respectful of me and my wishes, and he has been fighting along with my brother Michael and me to fulfill the wishes of our mother Faye, relating to our family and our businesses. To characterize Dean as somehow being less than fully respectful of the women in our family is just not right.
Well, maybe he's not being respectful of Dee.
Sure, sounds like
that
she's being
one
kind
single
of a
woman
dick.
or person he's not being respectful of, because doesn't sound like she's being very respectful of anybody else.
You got three siblings that are absolutely on the same page, and you got one over here. There's generally something to that. There's a reason why it's not split. There's a reason why that there's 3 to 1. So people getting upset. A lot of people have talked about this, and wow, breaking news, we're gonna figure this out. And I'm like, no, it's pretty much the same thing. It's 3 versus 1.
There's just been some new words thrown in,
and just some new. They rephrased it in a way. So I just I don't know. It's just annoying. It's annoying news to see.
Right. And it wasn't just D. Wasn't it like her kids as well, or like the cousins or something like that were also involved?
It's a whole it's a family matters.
Boy, money
situation.
Some people just have too much money in families,
seriously.
and it's everybody's fighting for a piece of it. It's Knives Out all over again.
Yeah.
And then lastly, there was a statement issued by the families of Alexis Spanos Rule, Michael Spanos, and Dean Spanos. Our parents, Alex and Faye, wanted the Chargers to be part of the Spanos family for generations to come. For the three of us, the Chargers is one of our family's most important legacies, just as it was for our parents. Unfortunately, our sister Dee seems to have a different and misguided personal agenda. If Dee no longer wishes to be a part of this family legacy, the three of us stand ready to purchase her share of the franchise, as our agreements give us the right to do. In the meanwhile, the operations of the Chargers will be entirely unaffected by this matter, which relates to only the 36% share of the team that was owned by our parents. The three of us are entitled to 3/4 of that 36% share in any event, and under no circumstances will this situation impact control of the franchise. The three of us will remain firmly united as we seek to fulfill our parents' wishes to make every decision in the best interests of the Los Angeles Chargers. I mean, it's a heck of an offseason to really throw this kind of a monkey wrench into it. Like, with all the moves the Chargers have been making, everything seems prime for a Super Bowl run. And then D walks in and says, "Hang on a second, you motherfucker."
Well, just Dirty like, D strikes again.
I'm Dirty D.
I think you got your commercial for the end of the episode.
I came to with a plea. I'm Dirty D and I'm here to plea. Holy shit.
I just don't care. I just don't care.
Right? Yeah.
I don't care about owners. I don't care about the owner of any NFL team, including the one that I'm a fan of. I don't care. I really don't.
Yeah.
I'm not out there rooting on Sundays for Justin Herbert and Derwin James and Joey Bosa. I'm like, oh, I hope they do good so Dean Spanos is happy. That's not going through my head. I don't even consider any owner when I'm watching a football game.
No.
So I just hate the idea of taking this and then somehow morphing it. I've seen it in the Twitterverse. It's now become a battle of factioned Charger fans again. And it's getting all of this dirt just shoved back up about who a real Charger fan is and how, like what this means. And are they selling the team? And it's just, who cares?
Come back to San Diego. And
they're never coming back to San Diego.
No.
Never. Just, I wish they would. It's just never going to happen. So that's okay. But if Dean Spanos ends up selling the team, I'm not going to be upset. That's what I'll say. I'll leave it at that.
I'm going to go based on all these statements. We're with the Spani for quite some time.
I don't believe it.
The Faye and Alex wishes will be upheld.
Yeah.
That's why they moved to LA.
Maybe
money,
value, monies, so they could sell the team and make $1 gajillion. Why do you care about the value of the team unless you're selling it?
More monies.
I love gold.
You just can't. You can't trust anything that Dean Spanos says. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, those guys live in just completely different worlds. You know, they.
He didn't write this.
No,
his publicist or his PR team wrote this, so it doesn't matter. These aren't his words.
Yeah. And the issues that they deal with are none of the issues that we deal with on a regular basis. So whatever happens in their world will happen in their world. It honestly shouldn't affect the team in any way, shape, or form. Let the courts figure it out.
Yeah.
And if you want to figure out what to wear tomorrow,
I was wondering how you were going to do that.
Go to chargerchat.com to check out all the sweet merch we've got over there. T-shirts, hoodies, and stickers. And you can chat it up with other Charger Chatteteers in the member section and ask questions and Askable fam. So go check it out, chargerchat.com. All right, gang. Well, now it's time to go on to the next segment. It is the one, the only, the Craig Experience.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Come on in, man. Kick your feet up.
Oh.
Craig Experience.
Hello there.
Make yourself at home. Got some stuff to talk about, right? Moving on.
No. Here's the best part. Then he says that Derek Carr is roundabouts as talented as Aaron Rodgers. I know, right? Wow. CC gang, the biggest of salutes. And to the rest of the Bolt fam, what's going on? She got Craig in Texas. And welcome to another edition of the Craig Experience. Let's ride. After another long week of pretending to be an assistant coach to Brandon Staley and offering up my opinions on the Chargers roster going into this year, just sitting around with pencil, drawing up a little mock depth chart there, and a name popped up to me, one that I feel like is being pushed off to the wayside a bit. Sort of kind of easy to do though, just looking at all the Chargers off-season moves and the fact that he was 4th round guy just last season out of that football powerhouse Duke University, 6'3", mid 230s, so sort of a gangly dude, more the size of an off-ball linebacker as opposed to an edge. Yep, Chris Rumph II. And yo, I really like Chris. Now, outside of just the fun-loving attitude, the fact that dude's got super bright personality, really endearing, got the whole sideshow bob hair thing going on, looks a little bit like him except way less psychotic. He's got some stuff to him, man. High effort dude. Could see that at Duke. I mean, in doing a little bit more background on him, fun fact, Chris didn't actually start playing organized ball until his sophomore year of high school, which is kind of weird when you look at the fact that his dad is a professional football coach. He was he was a D-line coach with the Bears recently, but he's now with the Minnesota Vikings in the same capacity, I believe. So Chris didn't jump off the porch and ball in a serious way until later in high school, midway through. So he was, a bit of a late bloomer. But having a dad as a professional coach kind of gave him a leg up, probably enabled him with the ability to kind of play catch up really quickly. Now, as far as what he's projected to be, we do know, said that, pun intended, he actually was a project. When the Chargers drafted him, you knew drafting a guy at that size to play that position meant that he was not going to come in and immediately be a contributor as an edge dude, just because he wouldn't have the size to hold up against the run. He wasn't going to be setting a solid edge. He could only be a situational pass rush guy at best. So once he got into a professional football training program, strength and conditioning, he put on the mass necessary, and then as the years went by, probably by year 3, you might have something. Now, he still doesn't have to be rushed because you got Khalil Mack in front of him, still Joey Bosa, and a Kyle Van Noy, so he can grow and develop. As far as what he presents and what he offers on the football field from an athletic standpoint, he's not a super twitchy dude, not like strong like Bull, but he is very crafty and slippery, and the name of his game is going to be effort. His feet don't stop, and you saw him in flashes last year because he played a little bit more than what he probably should have because there were some injuries, and then we know COVID was a thing in full force in the NFL last year still, so teams were ravaged by that. Chargers were no exception at points, and you saw it. But where he was a real contributor was on special teams. Now, it started off a little rocky, but he got better as the season went on. As it progressed, he performed much better. But again, you saw him flash in limited snaps, so it was something to be really encouraged about. And as time goes on, he's got some of the best in the business to learn from. Again, he's going to improve in regards to technique. You've got probably the best technician at the edge position in Joey Bosa. You got a speed and force dude in Khalil Mack. So, and then you got an instinctual guy in Kyle Van Noy. So, I mean, instincts can't really be taught, but Chris, he's got some instincts to him. Probably goes alongside with, like I said, mentioning his craftiness. But he's got every intangible, and then for the tangible things, you've got some of the best in the biz to do it, playing right alongside you. So he's going to improve. We don't know what's going to happen after this season with Kyle Van Noy. Hell, if Kyle plays amazingly and he wants to stick around, maybe they give him another 1-year deal. If not, Chris is waiting in the wings. He may not be as versatile as Van Noy is, but we honestly don't know. Could they move him around a little bit the way that Van Noy could be moved around, or the way Van Noy will be moved around? Possibly. We have a season to find out, but it's something I'm looking forward to. So I'm perfectly fine with where he is. And I think that come camp, you'll see him make some noise. He's put on a solid 10 to 12 pounds of muscle, which is what the Chargers asked for him to do. As far as his frame is concerned, I don't think Chris will ever be like a huge stocky dude. He's got the frame to put on a little bit more, but it just kind of seems like he's probably going to max out as like a 250 dude, but his 250 isn't going to look like other guys. It's 250. He just wears it differently. But he doesn't have to, man. He just got to perform at what he does. And this season, he's going to get some run. As far as defensive snaps are concerned, I'm sure he'll get his fair share, but he'll probably still be shining on special teams. And the more the merrier there. I think the Chargers special teams are going to be all the better for it, along with some of their other additions. But that's a name to be looking out for this season, Mr. Rumph. I haven't forgotten about you, sir. And I'm sure you're going to go out on the field this season and make everybody else remember as well. But just know your boy's here and you got my support, if nobody else. All righty then. Kev, Kyle, Dub D, give me your input on what you believe Chris Rumph's contribution is going to be next season on the defensive side of the ball, not just on special teams. Of course, he's going to have limited snaps because, of course, look who he's playing behind. But do you think he makes a significant impact on that side of the ball? And yo, Bolt fam, hop in the comments. Let me know what you guys think as well. But it's been real. And until next time, y'all know who it is, Mr. Bolt Gang or Do Not Bang, aka TOP_FLYT3 over on Twitter, and catch me on YouTube at the Flight Deck. Charge it to the game. So until the next one, y'all take it easy, be good, stay bolted up, and K, love you, bye.
Well, thank you, Craig, for taking a look at Chris Rumph. Yes, there's a lot of guys on this team that kind of get a little lost in the shuffle unless it's puppy day, right? Like you don't really remember. Sometimes some of these guys are hanging and waiting in the wings because we see the big studs that we're picking up in the off season. But it's a good reminder that, yeah, man, we got Chris Rumph, and I don't know. I think he was a pretty good contributor last season. I mean, he wasn't obviously the number one tackler, but like he came in and made some plays here and there. So I'm excited to see it.
He's going to be a great change of pace guy. Like these guys are going to stay rested because we haven't had depth like this in a while. And he did pretty well for his first year. And we interviewed him, a few months ago, and he just said that he's only getting better. He's only getting stronger. He's only getting bigger. So those are all things that were kind of things that he was dealing with last year. Maybe getting kind of controlled by some offensive linemen more than he probably should. But I'm excited for him. He's fast. He's quick. He's instinctual. Like you said, he started playing football sophomore year of high school. It's pretty crazy. Like that's pretty crazy. And he's played less than 10 years of football. So he's just going to get better, and we're going to have a great pass rush with him as a relief guy to get in there and get after it.
Yeah, I think he's going to have. I love Chris Rumph. I love the energy that he brings, the locker room like part that that piece that he adds, kind of like a Braden Fajoko of that edge rusher room, right? You have very serious, solemn guys like Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa. You got to have somebody that brings some life and energy, and I think Chris Rumph is able to do that along with Sebastian Joseph Day on that D line too. Like there's some guys that bring a little bit of mood, which I think, for the longevity of an 18-week season, you got to have some fun. You have to, or you get bored and you get over it. So that aspect, I think, is huge with Chris Rumph. I think he is like Craig said, he's a developmental player, and he still is that this year. I don't see an extended role. I think he's going to have pretty much the same exact role that he had last year, being a special teams guy and a spot guy as a pass rusher. And it's good that you need that depth in case somebody goes down and gets hurt for a couple of games. I wouldn't see Chris Rumph out there and be like, oh God, we're screwed. I think he could go out there and hold his own. He's one of those guys that I'm really excited to see as the years go. Because also, like Craig said, like Kyle Van Noy's a 1-year guy. He's not going to be here long term. He's at that time of his career where he's going to sign 1-year deals wherever he goes. And so I think that having that year, that's that bridge gap for Chris Rumph to step up and be the guy. There's a lot of young guys. Nick Neiman, I'm still excited about that guy. I think he's going to be a maniac on the special teams and have an opportunity to work his way into that linebacker group, especially depending on what happens with Kenneth Murray. Seeing if Kyle Van Noy is up there. There's a lot of young guys that I think they got a lot to prove still.
It's going to be, it's exciting. The amount of depth that we have at just about every position is really exciting and talented depth. I mean, seeing these guys that we had last year that contributed and now in their second year and putting on muscle now, like being able to have a whole off season to really work out and really build their form. Like,
you're not just getting ready for the combine. You're actually,
exactly.
You know what you're doing. You know what you're going for.
This ain't no underwear Olympics, my friend. This is the big deal. So, Craig, thank you so much for taking a look over at Chris Rumph.
Thanks, brother.
Let's move on now to Bolt history. What historical person, place, or thing are we going to look at? I don't know. Let's find out.
Schmon Schmicks.
Mixing something.
Rhymes with kicks.
Yeah. That's it.
Remember like it was yesterday. In comes this whirlwind, Don Coryell.
So see the San Diego Chargers and see spectacular professional football at its best.
Into the end zone, Charger fans are witnesses to history!
What's up, Bolt Gang? Welcome back to another installment of Bolt History. I'm your Charger Chat historian, Mike Maudlin, and today we're going to be talking about another player spotlight, but this one has a really cool story that goes along with it. It's really more around the story than it is about the player, but the player was pretty amazing as well. I'm talking about Ron Mix. Now, Ron Mix was a guard and tackle, primarily a right tackle for the Chargers from 1960 to 1969. Played with the Los Angeles and San Diego Chargers, but he also played with the Raiders in 1971. But he attended USC, University of Southern California, on a football scholarship. And in 1959, he was a first-team All-American, Associated Press first-team All-Pacific Coast, first-team All-Big Five, and won the USC Lineman Award. He was born in Los Angeles, so he's a homie, and he grew up in LA's Boyle Heights neighborhood. He is also Jewish. He's still with us. He's 84 years old now. He possessed incredible strength and power, agility and balance that made him one of the most intimidating players and menacing players in the AFL during that era. He was listed, or is listed, should say, at 6'5", 270 pounds. And he was an early proponent of weightlifting. Not a lot of players were doing weightlifting back then. He was one of the guys who kind of started that in the AFL and in football in general. He was, like I said, a proponent of weightlifting, and that helped him enhance his raw athletic power. He was years ahead of the curve on that. And soon after that launch, you started seeing linemen and other football players taking up that practice to become better athletes. His nickname is absolutely great. One of the best nicknames in sports history. He was called the Intellectual Assassin because he was very smart. He's a lawyer. But he was also, as I said, he was a beast on the football field. So his nickname, as I said, was the Intellectual Assassin, and he was an integral part of the Chargers that played in 5 AFL League championships and won, obviously, the 1963 AFL championship. He went to the University of Southern California, as I said, but he also went to the University of San Diego while he played in the offseason and earned his Juris Doctorate degree in 1971. As I said, he was an original Los Angeles Charger in 1960. Although he was the number 10 selection, the 10th overall selection in the NFL draft, the Colts drafted him in the first round of the NFL draft, and he was also drafted by the AFL's Boston Patriots in the first round. But he spurned both of those teams to sign a lucrative contract with the Chargers because he thought that he wasn't going to be remaining in the league for very long because he was going to proceed with his career as a lawyer. So he didn't think he was going to be playing very long, but he ended up playing 11 seasons. Here's one of the craziest stats that I found when researching this story. He played 11 seasons. He was only flagged for holding 2 times in 11 years. Twice holding calls. That's it. Unbelievable. what he said was about that draft process, he said it was unlike it is today. Back then, there was really hardly any publicity about the draft leading up to it, like very little. He had zero contact with the Colts prior to them drafting him. The way he found out he was drafted by the Colts was in the newspaper the next day. He didn't even talk to them. But back then with the newly formed American Football League, it was Boston that drafted him. And he told Boston that if I had to go back east, I was definitely going to sign with the Colts instead. The teams were cooperating with each other in the AFL. They were more interested in getting the best players that existed from college with any team. It didn't matter which team. The AFL was cooperating with each other to just try to get the best league possible. So they were actually cooperating with each other, and they wanted to field good teams. So the Patriots traded him to the Chargers. And that's who ended up signing with. But the Colts had offered him a 1-year non-guaranteed contract worth about $7,500 with a $1,000 signing bonus. And the Chargers had offered him a 2-year deal with $12,000 annually and a $5,000 signing bonus. So he told the Colts owner at the time, who was Carol Rosenblum, I'd rather play for the Colts, but the Chargers are offering me this. I said, if you give me a 1-year contract worth $10,000 and a $2,000 signing bonus, then I'll sign with the Colts. But the owner, Carol Rosenblum, told Ron, he said, man, that's about the same money that we're paying our quarterback, Johnny Unitas. I don't think we can pay you that much, and it would throw off our whole salary scheme. And Ron was like, well, thanks for telling me the truth. And they just couldn't make it happen. But the funny thing after the fact was that Carol Rosenblum ended up later finding out that Ron was also Jewish. Carol Rosenblum was also Jewish. And he would have made the concession to sign him and give him the money had he known that he was Jewish. But Rosenblum also told Ron that he didn't think the AFL was going to last. So he said he would see Ron next year because he thought the AFL was going to fold after 1 year. So he was just going to bide his time and wait for Ron to be available again. But he signed with the Chargers, and the rest was history. And it was life-changing for him because Ron was from Los Angeles, so he was getting to go back home and play for his hometown team, which was cool. It was an added sweetener for him in the deal with the Chargers. And it was true for him because it was really a blessing for him because he hadn't graduated. He was drafted before he got to graduate. He still needed another semester, so it was very attractive for him to play for the Chargers. What was really special about it, and it was kind of lost in history, is that the NFL as a group kind of had the same attitude as Carol Rosenblum, that the AFL was going to fail. It was just a matter of time. So they didn't compete for players. The AFL, Ron said, over the first 4 years, probably signed about 80% of the top college players and were distributing them among 8 teams. Whereas the NFL, they had 10 teams and they were distributing among those 10 teams, but the AFL had all the best young talent there was. He was a factor in the Chargers' early domination of the AFL's Western Division, and in San Diego helped them to win an American Football League championship in 1963, as we mentioned, and they defeated the Boston Patriots, which was kind of a sweet comeuppance for him, seeing as how he was drafted by them, but they beat them 51-10 in that 63 AFL championship game. He was the first Charger to have his number retired, number 74, in 1969, after he announced that he was retiring. He was quitting football because he had played his last season, but he was injured during that season. He ended up earning his degree from the University of San Diego School of Law in 1970. He told the Chargers he wanted to play again after he retired, but they had already found a replacement in Gene Ferguson. So after that, he wanted to get traded to the New York Jets once he found out they didn't have a roster spot for him. But they ended up trading him to the stinking Raiders for 2 high draft picks in 1970 and 1971. The deal was contingent upon him unretiring and agreeing to play for Oakland, which he did. Once he did that, owner Gene Klein, who hated the Raiders, and we touched on this on a prior Bolt history, Gene Klein hated the Raiders so much that he unretired number 74. So it's still available, even though it was retired at one point. He was unanimously voted to the all-time AFL team by the Pro Football Hall of Fame and named to the Chargers Hall of Fame in 1978. He was voted to the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1979. He was also elected a member of the International Jewish Sports Hall of Fame in 1980. inducted into the Southern California Jewish Sports Hall of Fame in 1990, inducted into the National Jewish Sports Hall of Fame in 2008, and inducted into the Jewish Sports Hall of Fame of Northern California in 2010. He was the second player from the AFL to be inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Lance Allworth was the first in 1978. Ron was named to 9 consecutive AFL All-Pro first teams and made 8 consecutive AFL All-Star appearances. After football, he practiced law in San Diego with a practice focused on representing retired professional football players, or professional athletes, I should say, not just football players, in claims for workers' compensation benefits. And prior to that, he was a civil litigator. But here's the cool story that I was alluding to earlier. Aside from all the accolades that he built up over his time in football, he was also a social justice warrior before that was even a thing. The Civil Rights Act was just being passed in 1964. And in 1965, he was a member of an all-star team that was going to go play in Tulane Stadium in New Orleans. New Orleans at the time was trying to get an NFL team, which they eventually would the next year with the Saints. But the Saints weren't around then in 1965. New Orleans was trying to reach out to these guys and tell the players the black players on the team were skeptical about going to play in Tulane Stadium in New Orleans because they felt there was a lot of racism still going on in the South. There was still segregation happening. There were still whites only drinking fountains and things like that happening. So a lot of the black players were really skeptical about going, but the local politicians in New Orleans were trying to assure them, look, come on down. Everything's going to be fine. You can bring your families. That's how safe we feel that you'll be. But that wasn't the truth. They were denied entries to bars and restaurants, sometimes being forced out at gunpoint. They couldn't get cabs and things like that. The players were given itineraries at the hotel that they were at, and they were told to get on the team bus in the morning. But after that night out, the night before, a lot of the players were not going to play. They didn't want to be there anymore. They just wanted to leave. So they were doing a roll call on the bus, and they noticed a lot of the players were missing, and they all happened to be black players. So Ron Mix got off the bus to go find out what was going on. He went into the hotel, and he found all these guys, 21 players, in a meeting about wanting to leave and not wanting to play in the game. Their plan was to boycott the game because of how they'd been treated. So being the lawyer that he was, Ron tried to talk them into staying and just say, hey, let's call some national media attention to this. Let's get this word out about how you guys are being treated. But the 21 players in this meeting were not having it. They were just wanting to leave and decided that they were not going to play because of how they've been treated. They wouldn't play in a place that was just denying them even just the most basic human rights. So he said it. He made it clear that if the black players weren't going to play, then neither was he. And that also caused all the other white players to join in the boycott. He was the first player to step forward and join them in that civil rights boycott, which put pressure on the AFL to move the All-Star game, and they ended up getting it moved to Houston. This whole event caused New Orleans to immediately desegregate. So this particular boycott affected the entire city of New Orleans and caused it to desegregate, which is freaking amazing. But to wrap it up, during his career, he minored in English, and he wrote for Sports Illustrated. He wrote articles for Sports Illustrated while he was still playing. He was also the general manager of the World Football League. There was a World Football League in 1974 and part season in 1975. It didn't last long, 1.5 seasons, but he was the general manager of the Portland Storm in the World Football League back then. And he currently serves as the president of the Pro Football Retired Players Association's board of directors, which is pretty cool. So he's still active in and around football. Now, that's the story about Ron Mix. I hope you really enjoyed it. And remember to stay bolted. Gay, love you, bye.
All right. Well, there you go, folks. A little something about Ron Mix.
How about a Hall of Fame? How about a Hall of Fame tackle for $10,000?
Hell,
I'll pay for it.
The money?
I can do that right now. I'd be happy to donate that right now. Let's go.
If we can get a Hall of Famer for right tackle for us right now, I'll pay the $10,000.
I'm good for $5,000. Easy.
We'll set up a GoFundMe for sure.
Yeah, easy.
Get that done.
I know a GoFundMe can make that happen fast. Yeah.
That's so wild that You got one team that was like, what was it, 1 year, 7,500,
and it was a
2 year.
It was
$12?
not a guaranteed year either. $7,500 with $1,000 signing bonus. That's crazy.
Yeah, that was pretty wild. Well, there you go, Mike. Thank you for taking a look at the very rich history of Ron Mix, man. What a great story, and still doing stuff, man, helping out players and being a part of everything, writing articles for Sports Illustrated. I mean, come on, like that is pretty sweet. So
I also appreciate the hate for Raider fans has been such a history. The history is so rich, and taking on retiring his number is just there's been a lot of Charger fans that feel the exact same way we do about them. So good.
Yeah,
good.
That's pretty
good.
low.
Yeah,
feel good about it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode of Charger Chat. Any final thoughts there, gentlemen?
What an episode. I enjoyed it. Thank you for having me.
What an episode. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us here at Charger Chat, folks. Don't forget to bolt up because we're ready for any squad, any place.
Okay, love you, bye.
Okay, love you, bye.
Okay, love you, bye.